Good evening, everyone.
Good
At
evening.
this time, I'd like to call our meeting for Wednesday, September 16th to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Matias,
Present.
Commissioner Rosinski,
Present.
Commissioner Cora,
Present.
Yeva.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we would like to consider the approval of our meeting minutes from September 2nd, 2020.
Madam President, we need to go to the agenda.
Oh, so that's correct. Okay, sorry, I got that out of order. Next, we would like to consider the agenda. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Madam President, there are 3 items I'd like to add. One is an FEMC appointment. The second item is a letter of support for LaPorte County Soil and Water Districts to host the Smithsonian Waterways exhibit in Rolling Prairie. And the third one is consider seeking the council's authority to purchase 4 kiosks for screening, which is reimbursable under the CARES Act.
Thank you. All 3 items will be added under requests. Now let's consider the approval of minutes for September 2nd, 2020.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to consider the amended agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we have approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 2nd. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We can move on then with that approval. Consideration of claims. Diane?
We have payroll ending 9/11/2020 in the amount of $1,182,618.30. And for miscellaneous claims in the amount of $1,361,756.04.
Thank you.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Second your motion.
We have a motion and a second to consider the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have public comment. Mr. Pichardo?
Thank you, Madam President. Nelson Pichardo, LaPorte County Election Board Chairman. I wanted to address you all this evening and clarify some issues and make sure that it's crystal clear that
You want to pull your mic a little bit closer so we can hear you?
If you don't mind, I'm going to take off
Yeah.
my mask.
Yeah, that's
it might be easier to hear. Thank you. I wanted to report to you all some of the happenings at our election board meeting, as you all have heard, regarding the early voting locations. And I want to make it crystal clear that the early voting location requests by the South County residents and also for the Cool Spring and Center Township areas, that was a bipartisan decision, and we all wanted that to happen. You know, it unfortunately did not pass 2-1, as you all know. But my reason for being here is because I read some of these articles and some of these comments that I hear, and what I want the public and you all to know is that this wasn't a red or blue issue. It was an issue that needed to be addressed, and we're ready to do that. And our county leadership was all on board. You all were all on board. Specifically, I wanted to address some of the facts that Dr. Cora, you know, he was the one who pushed and suggested for the location at Cool Spring and suggested that the old county library building on 400 North, that was an appropriate location, and we pursued that, and sure enough, we were able to secure that. That was because of Dr. Cora and our county leadership working together to get things done. And many of these articles and comments that I hear suggest that they're trying to make this a partisan issue, and it's not. And I'm standing here today to suggest and to let everyone know that myself, the Democratic appointee to the election board, Mr. Watterson, the Republican appointee to the election board, we all wanted that to happen. Furthermore, another hurdle that needed to be addressed was the secure Wi-Fi and secure computers for these locations. Again, without the support of Dr. Cora and the commission to get this through to our IT department to get it done, it wouldn't have happened. We already had that secured. We had the ability to have secure Wi-Fi, to have secure computers, and it was because of the leadership to get IT on board and to get those commitments done. That was the only reason that we would have been able to do that. These are little obstacles that people don't understand and don't see that are happening behind the scenes, and it takes a good leadership to get that done, and that's what happened in this situation. Also wanted to point out, it was brought to my attention that you all as the commissioners 19 months ago, May of 2019, had the exact same suggestion. That's significant. You know, I wasn't on the board then, and now I am, and we listened to things like that from Dr. Cora, from Commissioner Matias, from Commissioner Mrozinski. We're going to take that into account, and we're going to get things done. I just want to make it clear that this wasn't something that was just sprung out of thin air, and there was plenty of time to get this done. And the election board now is going to address some of these things, and we will get that done. Again, you know, as the second largest county in the state, we need more early voting locations. That is a bipartisan ticket item that we have to get done. And unfortunately, because of the fact that we needed a unanimous vote to do it, it didn't get done. And I know that there have been some discussions with state legislators about that specific statute, about whether or not it should be a unanimous vote, and I think that's being addressed, and I think it should be, because we had a 2-3 vote, and it should have been done. And it was not to benefit for anyone in particular, it was to benefit the voters of our county.
Mr. Pichardo, sorry to interrupt you. Madam President, if I may, I just want to read into the record what we, all three of us, we adopted, that was Resolution 2019-13. And in the two resolves that we had, the second resolve was, we respectfully request the LaPorte County Election Board, with funding assistance if needed from the County Council, to authorize and locate additional satellite early voting locations, such as to the public libraries and other settings, to permit easier, hassle-free access to those wishing to cast an early vote. So I think this was done a long time ago. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank Diane. Diane was willing to help. I spoke to Darlene too, because we needed IT help. Darlene was ready to step up. And I had asked Mr. Friedman to get the help to secure because some of the constituents had asked for another early voting site in Cool Spring Township. So we were able to talk to the LaPorte Hospital, and Mr. Friedman facilitated that. And so I'm grateful to all of you. But I think we did what we could to get the two additional early voting locations. But we'll keep trying. And unfortunately, it didn't happen this time, but we'll keep trying.
So that the date of that resolution was May 15th, 2019.
Yes.
That's pretty significant.
And might I point out that resolution was passed unanimously as well.
Yes.
Yes, it was. It was bipartisan
So
support.
you have my full support as the chairman of the election board, and we will continue to work together. Thank you for your leadership.
Mr. Pichardo, there's one other thing I wanted to mention since you're here from the election board. None of the voters will be going through any screening. Okay, I just want you to know there is some confusion about that. None of the voters will be going through any screening. The screening will be done for people who are accessing the courts, but the voters will have uninhibited access to come and vote here.
Thank you for clearing that up, Dr.
Yeah.
Court, because
Yeah.
there has been some concern about temperature checks and
Right.
some of the questions that are being asked, and whether or not voters would be able to get into the county building.
Right.
Again, I thank you for your leadership addressing that issue. It's obviously it's not something that the election board can control. It's the county buildings, and I'm glad before anything happened you all addressed it. And again, I want to make it crystal clear for some of these papers, for some of these comments that are being made. This is not a bipartisan issue. Dr. Cora led the efforts to try to get this done. We had a resolution 19 months ago that was passed by all of you to get it done. And so I want to make sure that if anyone's listening in the public, that some of these articles that I read are not completely accurate, because of the fact that it was in fact something that we all wanted done, all of our county leadership. That's why there was a petition that was presented to our board with 54 signatures on it. Many Democrats as well. So I wanted to report that tonight, and again, we will continue working with you all, and thank you for your leadership,
And thank you for your service. in the-
Before you leave, Sean, I had you do some research into the state election regarding the access to the voting
Yes, that's right.
and temperature checks, et cetera. Could we just take this opportunity so Nelson hears what?
Yes,
You,
the commission
learned-
president asked me to check with the state election division, and they've made very clear that we cannot set a precondition to vote unless authorized by statute. Denying someone the opportunity to vote due to an elevated temperature is not an authorized reason to prevent someone from voting, is the word from state election division. So I understand the commission now making arrangements with security to ensure that anyone coming to early vote will not go through the temperature screening, but will simply be directed directly to the early vote locations at both the complex and the 8th Street location.
Okay, thank you.
we will be sure to share that as well at our next election board meeting.
Okay, great.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, thank you. Anyone else, other member of the public wish to speak at this time?
Good evening.
Good
Joe
evening. Good
Haney,
evening.
2695 West Joliet Road. First, I'd like to say thank you for listening to the information that I had given in previous meetings about temperature screening for voters, both before the board and, of course, before the commissioners here multiple times. I've expressed concerns that the plans that you all had put in place and did not clarify until publicly today, right now, just a few minutes ago, would have put us in violation of both state law and federal law. And it's good that the county attorney has finally done his due diligence that was asked weeks ago in order to confirm what I had said. It's disheartening that we're here, but at least we're going to avoid a lawsuit. And I'm sure during this time with funding shortages, the last thing we want is taxpayers on the hook for doing things they shouldn't. I do have a really quick question in regards to a letter that was sent by Dr. Ducey of the County Health Department to the president of the commission. That letter was dated August 18th in regard to temperature screenings.
Mhm.
Did you share that letter with the rest of the commission and or county council?
Yes, actually, we had a workshop this afternoon with the county council regarding screening, and if you, we can discuss that now. I don't know if anyone from the health department is here, but,
That was in the executive session, correct?
no, I don't
It
believe
was-
so.
it
There was no
was not
exec
good.
session. There was a
Informational session.
Informational session was this? I just found out about it just a few moments ago.
Mhm.
When was there any public notice given for this?
There was not an exec session. This was a Zoom call, I believe, and the commission is able to receive information from various sources as they do without it being conducted as a noticed meeting. There was no action taken. In fact, I believe it's been agended for
Agended,
tonight.
yes.
If you heard
I
the
see that.
agenda,
I did.
exactly. So you're going to wait and you'll hear what's planned in terms of the.
Excellent. I'm glad to see that. So the first time you shared that the letter from August 18th was today then, Commissioner?
No, I shared it with my colleagues previous to today.
No, I sent it as counsel because I received a copy from the auditor, and I believe the council president had a copy of it. We shared it with all members of the commission, and then they were able to be able and prepared to act upon it tonight.
Do you know roughly when that original share was with the commission? Is it just this week, or was it, because this letter was sent a month ago?
Yeah, I know, and for some reason it didn't make it to my office until just this week. So I don't believe it was sent to anyone other than I think it was the council president at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Since this was agended, I'd just like to speak briefly about the temperature checks. We need and we must have transparency in government. Lurking in the shadows, withholding documents, closed executive sessions, or Zoom
wait a
calls
minute,
are not
wait a minute.
necessarily.
what are
Excuse
you
me,
doing in
those
terms
are
of alleging?
accusations, sir.
You don't do that. What are you talking about in terms of an executive session? We take a great deal of pride in
There
my
may not
office.
be an executive session today.
Okay.
But
So
in
you
the
don't
past
want to
on other
allege
issues.
that there's an open door violation or there's a violation
I'm
of
not
open
alleging
record?
an open door
Okay,
violation. No.
all right. We just want to be clear on that.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate you clearing that up. This is a public building. It's not a hospital. It's not a private business, and you're custodians of the people's property and of their pillars, of their place. I hear this mantra of the four pillars. It's continuously used as if the very sky is going to fall down upon us if it's not adhered to. And what's being done in an institutional setting is done for very specific reasons, and it's also facility specific. As a former clinical manager, I know all too well these facts, and I really don't appreciate them being muddled in an attempt to confuse the general public. when it comes to the temperature checks themselves, even Commissioner Cora himself is quoted as saying about the temperature checks, and I'll quote here, they are the least effective. He also went on to say that he likened them to a placebo effect, and in fact he said, quote, makes us sensitive to the fact that we are in the midst of a pandemic and make us more likely to follow and adhere to the other three pillars. So, end quote. It's as if the fact that we're all wearing face coverings isn't reminder enough that we are in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, these face coverings that we wear, the signs that are plastered all over every door, not just here at the county buildings, but all across town, remind us of what's going on. And I think it's preposterous to spend money on something that serves to function basically only as a placebo. I don't believe there's a single county that's around us that does this. Certainly not Stark County or Pulaski County. Porter County doesn't, which is the largest county next to us. And this leads us to another point. The CARES Act is likely to be brought out again as yet another reason that we can just spend this just to be, on the safe side, let's say. Right now, international travelers arriving in the U.S. are not temperature screened. It's very likely that the CARES Act is not going to cover this because it's not a necessary item. And if it does cover it, we're going to be borrowing that money from China, and our grandchildren and children's children are going to continue to pay that money back. It doesn't make sense to spend money for the sake of spending money, especially since we know that that it's not that effective at all. If that alone isn't enough, I would suggest you to listen to the letter that was sent by the county health department and the county health doctor, Dr. Ducey, in which she urged you to reconsider assessing for temperature screenings here in the county. There's no need. We've already spent tens of thousands of dollars doing temperature screenings, which for months now we've known are not effective, and there's no need to continue it. There's no need to spend any more money, even if it is quote unquote free money. We know it isn't free. We shouldn't continue spending it. We should stop wasting money, resources, and manpower on feel-good measures. You should be responsible custodians and end the temperature screenings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I address just a second, because on the issue of temperature screening, and I know you're going to address the scale back but I want to provide you a copy of what the Indiana Supreme Court issued today, which was enhanced security personnel doing body temperature screening. It is happening around the state of Indiana, and in fact, the guidance was provided by the Chief Justice of Indiana to state courts around the country that are doing temperature screening. So I'll be happy to provide you a copy of that.
Sure, and of course that's a separate issue from the voting issue that I was talking about earlier.
Absolutely, but you don't want to make it, I know you don't want to
issues.
infer that somehow the county is an outlier, that somehow that there isn't temperature screening going on elsewhere in the state, because as you'll see from the guidelines.
In our area, the county, it certainly is an outlier.
But I know you'll be interested.
Can you name any county in northern or northwest Indiana?
I'm going to give you a copy of the guidelines issued by the Supreme Court Justice today on this issue, okay?
Mr. Haney, I will agree with you that the county is an outlier in the fact that we have the lowest numbers compared to the surrounding counties, and that's being a good outlier, and I take pride in it.
And it's continued to trend down for months now, which is fantastic.
Just look at the map and look at the counties to the east and counties to the west, and having 2 correctional facilities in our county, our numbers are the lowest. It is an outlier for good reason and for a good purpose, and I take pride in it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. So I guess as a comment to Mr. Haney's concerns, if we have made any errors, it's an error because we care about this community. It is not an error because we're trying to take rights away or try to make life more difficult. There is a reason why our numbers continue to trend down while areas around us are trending up. We, as a community, not just this board, but as a community, I have never seen a team of employees, elected officials, staff, and all the hospitals and the school systems get on calls and try to share information, try to figure out common protocols to work together to keep our children safe, our elders safe, and our families safe. So if we have made any errors, it's an error of care and kindness rather than an error, any other kind of error that's being inferred tonight. And I just really object strongly to that.
Madam President, since you brought this up, I just want to mention, when we first started down this journey in March, nobody knew what COVID was doing. We didn't know how to treat it. All right. Every week, every month, we learn new things.
That's right.
And based on that, we make adjustments.
Right.
And when we are going to discuss this as to how we are going to de-escalate the screening process, that is a result of learning, understanding, And my main concern is to how to protect the health and safety of the people in LaPorte County. And that has been our goal, and that will continue to be our goal. And we'll continue to strive hard to keep our numbers down and protect our people so that our businesses can reopen, economy can continue to function and boom. And then that's our goal, economic development. And then also the kids can go to school safely. And, I'm happy to say that most school systems in the county have gone to in-person learning, and Michigan City Area Schools is seriously considering of doing it in October because we have been able to work hard and bring our numbers down. Our goal was to get us less than 5 on the positivity rate, and we are at 3.4. And I think we should be celebrating. I don't think we should be arguing about this. We should be celebrating this, and I'm so happy that we are where we are. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Cora.
Yeah.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak at this time? Hearing none, let's move on to department reports and department head comments. Are there any department heads? I see some people are on Zoom as well. Are there any department heads who wish to give a report or have any comments at this time?
Yeah, this is Director Brown, Audit Community Corrections.
Hi there.
And hi, how are you all doing this evening?
Good.
Thanks. Great.
Good. I wanted to request that I am allowed to move offices for 3 reasons. Due to a recent outbreak, we need to separate a group of 6 people that is in one office. I need to at least put 3 in another office. So if I can free up another office, then I'll be able to do that. And then also I have 2 new coordinators that have just been promoted into positions, and they have now been allowed to move into their offices.
So you want to move up?
Out of another
you want to move
office.
up on the agenda? Is that what you're requesting? Are you requesting to move up on the agenda?
I'm requesting to be allowed to move offices. I didn't know where that
move
was.
offices.
She's not on the agenda. She's requesting. So there's a process for this, and I guess we're listening to you, Rochelle, but we need to understand what your floor plan is because I really don't know where your various offices are and where your personnel is. So have you had talked to your board chair or your executive committee and made some suggestions to them as to where you need to move people?
With these current concerns, no, but they did know I did place people into new positions and they need to be in their offices.
So Dr. Cora is our liaison to your board. Perhaps Dr. Cora can meet with you. Is that fine,
Okay.
Dr. Cora?
Yeah, that's fine.
And maybe do a look-see and walk through or look at your floor plans and you can explain to him what your needs are. And then we can work with facilities to assist you.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
All right.
Okay, I'll be in touch with them.
Thank you, Director Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other members of various departments that would like to report out? All right, let's move on then to requests. Oh, I do have a note. This was, before we move on, I guess it's from the judiciary. This is a handwritten note that was on my desk when I arrived today. It says, "Dear Commissioners, thank you for the use of this room to conduct my scheduled court proceedings. We have been given a royal welcome in this building and feel like it is our home away from home. Many thanks. Judge Bergerson, LaPorte Superior Court 1. So as most of you are aware, we've been juggling. So that was nice, right? Nice welcome. We've been juggling people in various buildings, and as we shut down the Michigan City Courthouse and open up our temporary facility at the former Brown Mackey College building. And so I give a huge shout out to all of our elected officials, staff, the judiciary in particular, the prosecutor's office, et cetera, for being so flexible. And big shout out to facilities director Larry Lewandowski and our IT director for their unbelievable leadership, and Joey as well for great leadership in trying to make something that's really, really difficult happen as smoothly as, and the transition as smoothly as possible. So thank you everyone for that. Let's move on to our requests. We have 3 requests this evening. One request is the FMEC appointment of Russell.
Madam President, there is a request to move the date, request A, from November 4th to November 10th for the election, because of the election on November 3rd.
Oh, I didn't realize there was another request. Okay. To move the date. Okay. All
This
right.
is because, Madam President, there is a possibility that if there are a lot of mail-in ballots and if the counting goes on into November 4th, our meeting room will be occupied by the people who will be counting the votes. So there was a suggestion made to move our commission meeting from November 4th to November 10th.
Okay, so let's take that request first. We have a request to move the date of the commission meeting in November from the first Wednesday in November to November 14th, Dr. Cora, is that correct?
November 10th,
November 10th?
which is a
Okay.
Tuesday.
Okay,
And I make a motion to go ahead and move the date.
Second the motion.
we have a motion and a second to move our November meeting date to Tuesday, November 10th, to allow any post-election work that needs to get done. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has carried. Let's move on then to the Fair Events Management and Events Corporation request. We have a request from the chairman of that board, the FMEC board, dated September 15th. LaPorte County Commissioners, the FMEC board is looking to fill the vacancy from the resignation of John Comboy from NIPSCO. We are requesting, they've reached out to NIPSCO with no response. They have reached out to Kankakee REMC, and they have given the name of Russell Gruz to fill the vacancy effective immediately. So is there?
I make a motion to appoint Mr. Russell Goose to replace Joe Conboy.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to confirm the FMEC request for Mr. Russell Gruz to replace John Conboy on that board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the council request. We would like to request the council for screening equipment. And Dr. Coro, could you make a motion and then explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. You know, long before the health officer wrote this letter, I had seen that technology was developing where we can do whatever necessary screening we needed to do without having too many people there. So that way we can cut the cost. We are fiscally responsible. So what we did was I took our IT director, our maintenance person, and our HR director, and the director of the health department to the hospital and showed him a kiosk, which does the work that people do. And the nice thing about the kiosk is if somebody, you know, of all the things we talked about, the 4 pillars that we talked about, I agree, you know, checking temperature is the least effective because there are a lot of people who do not have symptoms and they do not have temperature and they're spreading the virus. Okay. But having said that, there are some people who have COVID and who have fever, and they are super spreaders because they spread the virus much more than the asymptomatic people. So I think, is it as a sole criteria, is it reliable? Absolutely not. But in combination with the other criteria, it is helpful. And yes, I went on record as saying that when you go and stand in front of the kiosk, a lot of times people are still without masks, and the kiosk automatically tells you, please wear a mask. It's nice. All right. And so what this kiosk will do is it will cut down the number of people that we need to do the screening. It'll get the job done. It'll save the costs, and it'll keep everybody safe. I have heard from a lot of our own county staff who are worried about not having the screening because they are putting their life at risk, and they're working for all of us. And it is incumbent on all of us to make sure that their safety and security is foremost in our minds. So no matter what people say, I think we need to do the right thing. We need to take care of and protect our county staff, and we want to make sure that the people in this county are protected from this virus, and we take all the measures that we can reasonably take to protect ourselves. So with that being said, Madam President, I make a motion that we seek the council council's authority to purchase 4 kiosks. I'm going to cut down the number of individuals who are doing the screening, and the screening will be done in collaboration with security. That way there is no tent outside and we don't need another security personnel outside, and this will continue. And plus, with what I learned today about the Supreme Court, Indiana Supreme Court's guidance on how the courts need to conduct themselves to keep the people who are coming to the court safe, I think we'll be in compliance with that. And so with that, Madam President, I make a motion to seek the council's authority.
Doctor, if you might maybe amend the motion. As I was informed by the auditor late today, the county's COVID committee has already approved the appropriation. So this way it can come from COVID Act. I think all you'd be doing is authorizing the purchase, but the authorization has already been made by the committee that Commissioner Brzezinski and the others sit on in terms of the COVID committee. So I think if you could amend, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and then I'll amend my motion to go ahead and get these 4 kiosks that have already been authorized by the county's COVID committee.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second the motion to put people's mind at ease that this isn't like the only thing we're doing.
Right.
Every office, every county office where you deal with the public has plexiglass.
Yes.
Every county employee has masks. They have gloves. They have hand sanitizer. And our maintenance department does an amazing job of sanitizing all the offices too. So it isn't like this is the only thing we're doing.
No.
Is checking their temperature, which, as we
It's
said,
not.
is questionable at best. But the committee did recommend that we purchase it, so I'll second your motion.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the purchase of 4 screening monitor equipment for our 4 most publicly used buildings, which would ensure that our employees and the public remain safe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a request for a letter of support. This is a letter of support from the LaPorte County Soil and Water Conservation District. With your permission, I'd like to read it into the record. The LaPorte County Commission is writing to express support of the LaPorte County Soil and Water Conservation District's application to host the Smithsonian Waterways exhibit in Northwest Indiana in partnership with the LaPorte County Libraries and other community partners. LaPorte County is home to an amazing array of waterways, lakes, streams, rivers, and Lake Michigan. Managing the watershed and conservation as well as preservation of these life-sustaining waterways is an important goal for community education. We join with other community collaborators to support the LaPorte County Soil and Water Conservation District's application to host the Smithsonian Waterway exhibit at the Rolling Prairie Library in Rolling Prairie, Indiana. The Commission supports this project and will assist in promoting this exhibit and other ancillary exhibits and activities with marketing through the county website and other marketing strategies. I would appreciate a motion of support. This is an education project that Soil and Water is spearheading. They're working with the LaPorte County Libraries, Save the Dunes, and some other community partners to make this the very best Smithsonian exhibit in the country.
I make a motion to support it.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to support this letter of support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Thank
Madam
you.
President, just a housekeeping matter. I think you made the authorization to go ahead and purchase the 4 kiosks. You may want to make up record because I know there have been some discussion Dr. Cora had about scaling back the screening to 1 screener per 4 locations effective either Friday or Monday. You're going to want to make that clear on the record so that there's direction of both the Sheriff's Department and the Health Department about that.
Yeah. Let me amend the motion that in addition to the purchase of the 4 kiosks, that we're going to scale down the screening process, and that process will will start tomorrow, and it will be implemented by Monday. And then one of the basically at the end of this process, over the next 2-3 days, we are going to eliminate the security person, and we're going to cut down the screeners from 2 to 1. So basically, there will be 1 screener, and they will be working in collaboration with the security inside the building.
So we have an amendment to the request that we already passed.
You could also just do it as a separate motion. I mean, I think it may be cleaner. You've already had your
Okay,
motion authorized
yeah.
the purchase.
All
I
right.
would simply suggest a
So
separate
just, yeah,
motion.
okay, all right, thank you, Ms. Britton. Madam President, I make a separate motion then that the scaling down of the screening process, which we have discussed earlier with the authorization to purchase the 4 kiosks. That scaling down process will begin tomorrow and hopefully will be completed by Monday. And the health department will be authorized to scale it down and go down to 1 screener per screening station.
Second to your amended motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion has been confirmed. Do we have any other requests in front of us this evening? I think we've got it all. All right, let's move on to old business. Consider engaging surveyor per the recommendation of the Highway Department to survey disputed 52055 West 800 North ditch to determine the extent of the county responsibility and the right-of-way. Mr. Friedman?
Yes, Madam President, members of the commission. The commission, we have at my office at your direction has communicated with the Highway Department. They've spoken with both. We've spoken with Bob Young and with Tony Hendricks, and the consensus is that we should first have the property surveyed and establish county right of way. Then we can determine what exactly the county is responsible for. I've been dealing with. There's been some question about cleaning out the ditch and whether it would fix the water problem in the yard. There's also a ditch that runs to the north and the west side of the property that may be the issue. The ditch may belong either to the homeowner or to NDOT. There is potentially money there in Cume Bridge for safety improvements that we could pay our portion out of, but the recommendation of the Highway Department is that you authorize a surveyor to go out and attempt to survey that so that we can determine what the county responsibility is versus NDOT versus the homeowner.
I make a motion to support this, engaging the surveyor.
Yeah, I second your motion. This has gone on long enough, for sure. This person has suffered.
We have a motion and a second to engage the surveyor per the Highway Department's recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Thank you. Moving on to new business, consider suggested policy changes by Human Resource Department regarding advertising openings both internally and externally, as well as a reference to the initial 6-month introductory period for new hires. Ms. Mossman, are you on the line?
Yes, I am here today.
Good evening.
Good evening. The first policy recommendation that I am making is under 6.0 recruitment, and my recommendation is to change the recruitment process to advertise once we go county to all of our county employees, to also advertise externally these postings. I believe this new format will help us increase our applicant pool and assist us with improving our diversity to more adequately reflect the population of our county.
So could you explain the differences that will be incurred once you start this new process?
Sure.
Where will
when
you
the
be
position
advertising
becomes
differently?
Available right now, the process is that it starts within the department. The department looks to see if there's any employees that they can promote within to that position. If no employees are found within the department, our current policy is we then advertise to all of our county employees the opportunity to bid on the position. If we're successful in that, the position is filled that way. If we are not successful, then we advertise externally to all other of the rest of LaPorte County. We advertise via Facebook, Work One, Indeed, and then the newspaper to try to find qualified applicants that way. My recommendation right now is to just change that process up to advertise both to all county employees and to all county and external applicants at the same time.
So, Madam President, I think this will be a good move because it'll help our HR get the best possible applicants and hire the best possible people. And it does not take anything away from our internal applicants, but it'll also improve the number of applicants. The pool will be better, and I think it'll be good for our county government. I'll make a motion to support this.
Second your motion.
We have a motion and a second to support. Certainly, Barb, you do a great job at HR, and this will be another tool to make sure that county jobs, which are considered good jobs to hold, that we get the best applicant for those positions, and that we make sure that the information is widely shared across the community. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has carried. Thank you. And then Barb, you have a second thing that you were mentioning?
There is a second one, and
Okay.
that's under 15.0, the introductory period. Our current language right now just states that all new employees will serve an introductory period not to exceed 6 months. We do have some departments, such as 911, the Sheriff's Department, and EMS, who do have their employees serve a 1-year introductory period. So I adjusted the language to include, unless specified differently in the department's supplemental manual or handbook. So I just want to make sure that that's spelled out a little bit more clearly, that not all county employees are serving a 6-month introductory period. It's going to be based on the individual department's supplemental handbook.
All right, thank
Do you
you.
need a separate motion for this?
I believe because it's a separate policy, so if
Yeah.
you would go on the record and support this.
I make a motion to approve this separately.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second to approve the change in the handbook language.
So I'll second the motion. Does this take effect then as soon as we sign it?
Yes.
Not retroactive?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you, Barb. You have anything else
All right,
to
thank
share
you
with
all.
us? Okay. Next on the agenda, consider a petition to vacate portion of Beach Drive in LaPorte. Attorney Chris Willoughby.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Christopher Wilby, Brady Nelson, and Janes. I'm here tonight on behalf of Dr. and Mrs. Nelson, who reside at 348 Island Drive. Before you, I believe you have a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission, of which a few weeks ago we attended and presented a petition. I believe this is the last in a line of these that have come through that I think I had clients that initiated the process, but land that has been unproductive and despite being platted originally has never put in improved or put into public use. And in fact, it's this particular portion, if it's approved by the ordinance that has been, a proposed ordinance has been submitted, and we're hopeful that you will consider and adopt this evening, is the effect of that will be not only for my clients who have initiated this process and have in fact used along with the neighbors and maintained this for decades. And Mr. Brown, who is referenced in the proposed ordinance, I believe they've lived there in excess of 30 years, and it's never been used as Beach Drive. Everybody has known it as their yard. So the effect will be each of them, and so we're not being selfish or misleading anybody, and I think it's important clarification in the ordinance. My clients are the petitioners, but the effect will be that it will be split, and the abutting owners will get a portion of that.
Okay.
And so, if certainly available to answer any questions, we respectfully request otherwise that you consider the ordinance, and if you were further inclined to maybe suspend the rules and maybe do both readings this evening, we would appreciate
Mr.
it.
Friedman.
Well, the only concern I have about 2 readings tonight would be the other owners out there. I mean, this has been somewhat contested. As you say, it does come through with a recommendation from the Plan Commission. I think to be on the safe side, you may want to pass it through on first reading and then see if there's any objection to a second reading. As you know, it's been somewhat controversial. We think there's a resolution that's been worked with most of the owners along Beach Drive, but
And I respect, and he's your attorney, so I defer to whatever Mr. Friedman says. The only 2 things I would like to point out is there were no remonstrators against this one, and at the Plan Commission level, we had consents signed by the abutting and adjacent owners that were all entitled to notice. So I certainly understand and respect, and we're not in a hurry, and I understand erring on the side of caution. So
I make a motion to adopt this on first reading.
Yeah, I sat on the Plan Commission, and attorney is correct that there was no remonstrance at all. It was pretty much a slam dunk, and it was promoted 100% by the Plan Commission. So there, I don't see any issue with it. So I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second on first reading to consider the petition to vacate portion of Beach Drive. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will move it on for second reading at the next meeting. Next on the agenda, consider engaging Sender and Company for review of lateral controls, accounting procedures, and segregation of financial duties at community corrections. I don't know if Director Brown is still on the line or Steve Klasowski, the chair. If not, maybe Mr. Friedman, you could walk us through this.
Yes, I believe, and I had spoken with President of the Community Corrections Board, who has requested this, and we have in
Madam
front of.
President, I was present at a meeting when this was discussed,
Okay.
so if you want, I can just
Please.
give you some insight into it. So the new director, Director Brown, and some of the members of the advisory board, Community Corrections Advisory Board, felt that it would help the new director and the staff to have somebody like Mr. Sender come and set up some, review the policies, the internal control policies, accounting policies, segregation of financial duties. I think it'll be a good thing, and I felt that way also. And so I think having Mr. Sender come and do this will help the staff look at the previous records and also learn from that, and then set up some policies. That way, there will be a smooth operations in terms of the financial controls at the community corrections. So with that, Madam President, I make a motion to support engaging Sender and Company to do this review.
Second your motion.
We have a motion and a second to consider engaging Sender and Company for review of internal controls at community corrections. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda, consider the county as an applicant for an Okra planning grant for proposed water tower for 39 North. Matt, I see you're here, so
Yes.
Are you here to speak to it?
Madam President, I've spoken to Mr. Strasser, and they both would request, and I believe Matt was of the same opinion, pull it off the agenda tonight, table. There is a unified effort being made by the 39 North Conservancy District to attempt to go after funds to land to be able to build a water tower, which has so far prevented additional commercial and industrial development. The Redevelopment Commission has authorized through its grant writer, Mary Jane Thomas, application for Economic Development Administration funds. So we're trying on a number of different fronts. Okra was a third front, but because of some of the timing on Okra planning grants and particularly income surveys, it was felt by Randy we may want to table this indefinitely at this point while the county continues to support the effort that's being made to try to land funds to do the
Motion to
water
table,
tower.
Madam President.
We have a
Second.
motion to table this this request. Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda, consider authorizing a committee composed of the commission president, the council president, the auditor, and the facilities director to consider any Michigan City courthouse construction change order prior to commission president signature, and consider any pending change orders and elevator decommissioning certificate. I know, Joey, I believe you're on the line. Would you like to address this? Joey needs to be unmuted.
I don't know if Brian Delich is on the line from Ton and Blank.
Okay. Is there someone from Town and Blank on the line?
Yeah, this is Brian Delich from Pen and Blank.
Hi, Brian. Could you just, for the public's consumption, can you explain the change order process and why this would be a necessary move by the commission this evening?
So we would like to send what we would call a draft change order to the committee just for review, to discuss, make any necessary changes. Maybe the owner doesn't want to make the change. We can address it there. And then once a final dollar amount or change order is approved, we can send an official AIA change order in for signature and approval by the board committee. So that way it can eliminate and help the process move faster.
I'm sorry that I didn't unmute. I didn't.
Hi, Joey.
You know,
Thank you, Brian. Joey?
And that's exactly why we thought that maybe a committee would be, excuse me, more prudent to have, since these change orders come fast and furiously, and we can't always wait for a meeting. So I was asking that the commissioners form a committee that would review these change orders, and then if we all agree on them, Madam President, you would sign them for us, and we'll get them back to Lieutenant Blank on a more timely basis.
It's, as the auditor indicates.
Thank you.
Brian indicates it'd be an expedited process. It'll keep the construction moving. There's going to be a lot of change orders coming over the next year and a half. We're recommending this so that way you're delegating the authority as a commission to the committee to make recommendation, and that way the commission president can affix signature. I don't believe, I asked Brian whether there were any other change orders that needed action tonight, and I think they all can go to this committee. But we do need action on the elevator decommissioning certificate, which is required under state law, so that demolition can occur actually tomorrow morning on the elevator.
So we have two requests.
Yes.
All right. Let's take the first request then. Consider authorizing committee to expedite change orders in order to make sure the construction process is moving along in a smart fashion. As we all know, in construction, there are always change orders, but also time is money. And our goal is to have this project done under budget and on time, and get our staff back into their home. So, Dr. Corr, do you have any perspective, or Mr. Merzinski?
No, I'll make a motion to authorize to give permission to this committee, authorizing them to go ahead and do these change orders.
Okay.
Second your motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to authorize a committee to be sort of the change order committee to authorize change orders in order to expedite the construction process. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda, as part of this same agenda item, we're considering pending change order and elevator decommissioning certificate. Do you have any extra detail, or does Joey or Lieutenant Blank?
We've got to, for the State Building Safety Commission, have to have you formally decommissioned. So this is a momentous historic event in itself, the decommissioning of the age-old elevator, slowest elevator within a 3-county area, but it's operated for a number of years. So you would formally decommission the elevator, authorize it as part of the demolition that's to occur.
So moved.
A historic move.
Yes.
So we are decommissioning the very famous or infamous elevator at the Michigan City Courthouse. All those in favor of decommissioning the elevator at the Michigan City Courthouse signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has carried. The elevator is officially decommissioned.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joey, and thanks for all your hard work. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have commissioner comments. Mr. Merzinski?
Yeah, also from the Michigan City Courthouse, in the basement, they found a prison cell door from a cell that once housed John Dillinger.
Really?
It's been kept there in the basement. I've worked with Marquis Electric, take it out. They have it right now, kind of doing a little modification. We'll put it in the LaPorte Museum.
County Museum, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Excellent. It's a pretty cool thing to have.
Now, unlike Crown Point, Dillinger did not break out of
He ain't
our.
breaking out of ours.
Okay.
No, that's a good door.
Good little detail to note.
They had to kind of modify it a little bit because the museum was concerned it was too heavy. And number one, you get it in the freight elevator and it's liable to take a real quick trip to the basement. But I've talked with Carrie at the museum. They've got a place for it. And we'll probably be moving that maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But
Great.
thanks to Marquis for their excellent work on that. I was called a couple weeks ago from the highway department at Rolling Prairie when we had that really bad rain.
Yeah.
So I went out, and it's the first time I've actually really looked at their facility there. It's embarrassing to see the conditions that we expect our people to work in. So I asked Sheila to go look at it also, since you are the liaison there. You'll see what I'm talking about. I was literally shocked to see the conditions there.
So I had a long talk with the highway, with Mr. Werner at Highway, and he and Mr. Lewandowski, when we get past this bubble of Brown Mackey and shutting down the Michigan City Courthouse, they're going to take a joint trip out there and see. It's a very complicated piece of property, as you know. There's lots of soil contamination issues and other things.
Well, we got past that. But
So we have the opportunity, and perhaps we can discuss this. They have done this in the past. I don't know how efficient it is to have the folks who report out to Rolling Prairie report to our main highway department. The problem with that is that most of them live East County, and they, it's from an efficiency standpoint, they prefer to operate out of Rolling Prairie. From a safety standpoint, I share your concerns. There's a roof covered with a tarp, and it's been covered about 3-4 years, long before I was here. So it's not a new problem. It's a problem that has continued to exist. So maybe we can brainstorm some
Well, and
solutions.
as we do site development, I think there was some discussion, is there enough room at the new EMS Rolling Prairie base to perhaps site something there, a garage or something else for highway? So I think you were
it's a possibility. I don't know exactly where we're going to put the ambulance building. I've seen the design for it. There might be. There's a lot of trucks out there. I think what I asked the superintendent there. There's a lot of trucks there. The first thing I got on it in that bad rainstorm, the rain was going down the hill, which has got a little washout, and going through their building.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are sitting in here where to eat their lunch,
Yeah.
and there's a river going through the middle of the building.
Right.
And then the bottom of the doors are rotted about this far. I said, and the tarp over the ceiling. I said, well, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, so it's been continuing to disintegrate.
Yeah, it's not going to get better.
No, and I think that's their concern, is that should we put good money after bad? Is it so far gone? It sounds like from what their initial analysis was and what they concluded 2 years ago, and then 2 years before that, they keep kicking the can down the road, and
Yeah.
somebody needs to come up with a solution. So one solution is bring the workers into our main hub. They're not especially overjoyed about that idea, because they really like the efficiency of they live East County, they work East County, they're picking up their trucks and being efficient with their services out in East County. So that's something we can discuss, especially as the winter comes along.
And where they're located, if you look historically at the lake effect snows, that's the middle of it right there.
Right.
I mean, from New Carlisle to Rolling Prairie, that's where it goes.
Yeah.
And they're right there. They can plow their way out of there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad that the guys come into work. The first thing they have to do is clean their own parking lot, and then go out. So the trucks all set outside and brush all the snow off of all their trucks. We need probably a new building, either there or somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
We had talked to the facilities director, I believe, and we were going to talk to the architect. As you say, we've gotten waylaid with Brown Mackey, but I think there was a plan to try to site something for a highway out at our new location that we've got at 20 and 2.
So it's on both Mr. Warner and Mr. Lewandowski's radar.
That's
but
right.
Now we're focused on transition for highway.
The commissioner, both of you make the point. I mean, the current situation is untenable, but I think the
Right.
hope is, can we potentially site it at our new location?
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Merzinski, for
And
making sure that we consider that.
okay, we'll keep on now. I want to see that get done. At our last meeting, we voted to establish a committee to name some of the bridges in the county, which when I seconded the motion, I volunteered to chair that committee. And since then, I've gotten a lot of emails and calls from people to either volunteer to be on the committee or submitting names to me of people who we should consider to name a bridge after. So I'm hesitant to go any farther with this after I saw your email. It's like you're trying to hijack that committee from me. So I don't know what to do. I've got all this information to people and suggestions, but I don't want to move forward on it until I find out exactly what your intentions are here.
All right, so I think that we should take this discussion offline. We can organize a committee between us and make sure that we want to make sure that it reaches all people and covers the diverse areas of our population and our community. Certainly, there's no one hijacking anything from my colleague. So we'll get that done, and we'll talk about that at our next meeting and make sure that happens. Dr. Cora?
Thank you, Madam President. I went to Brown Mackey to pay a visit, and there's so much work going on, And I really want to take this opportunity to thank all our county staff who work very hard, some of the county leadership, including Ms. Winsky, who has taken, and Mr. Novak, who have taken such active interest in this. And so I just want to thank them all. And we are really blessed to have a great group of people who work for the county. And, you know, when I was thinking about the screening process, and I was thinking to do something to help protect their health and safety. My God, they give so much to this county and to this organization. So I think we'll definitely take care of their health and safety concerns. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure, I wanted to mention to both of you is that I serve as this commission's liaison for the workforce development. And so I chaired the Chief Elected Officials Board for Northwest Indiana. So recently, our 7-county region in Northwest Indiana was recognized as one of the 21st century talent region. And so that designation and the presentation of that designation is going to happen on Friday. As you know Linda Woloshansky from the Centers for Workforce Innovation. She has been a great leader in workforce development in Northwest Indiana, so we'll be working with her because one of the most important things in economic development, in addition to bringing businesses here, is to make sure that we have the workforce who have the skills to take the jobs that we are trying to bring. So I think we'll continue to work on it, but this was a great announcement that will be made official on Friday. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur. So as LaPorte County economic development efforts are continuing to grow, and Matt's here. We're seeing new growth at KIP and some other growth around our county. New employees. A month ago, we announced the Panola project. So those jobs are there, but we need trained workforce, and I think it focuses even more on the work that the Workforce Board is doing, and the state is now seeing Northwest Indiana as a place where economic development is finally happening. So I think I appreciate your work, and Linda and the board do a great job in guiding that. I served on that board years ago, and it's still a really important part of economic development. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the only other comment I would have is that, to reiterate what Dr. Kaur said about the county team. This is a really stressful time for our county leadership and our county staff as we try to transition out of a building that has housed us for 100 years, and we've outgrown it, and everyone knows that the work needs to get done, but it's really difficult. People are leaving their homes, the place where they normally work, and we're expecting them to transition into a different environment that's only temporary, and then they'll go back. So I want to thank everyone for their exceptional positive spirit, their effort, their helping each other, and also the leadership, in particular, of people like Mr. Lewandowski, our facilities director, who has really taken this project on. Joey and her team, Randy Novak from the County Council has served as a great leader, and Darlene, and then of course Diane. So I can't say enough words of appreciation for all of the things, large and small. Sometimes the smallest efforts are the most important, for helping us get past this giant hurdle and make our project happen. So thank you so much. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.